Morning, doctor.
Yeah, good morning. All right, so we are here to continue. Sorry, I used a different link, so I wasn't able to connect, but thankfully I was able to get across to admin who helped. So we are here. Okay, so I can see only one person around. Okay,
No.
two. Okay, so we are going to continue from here. Sorry for the mix-up yesterday. And I also made efforts to share the various documents that we need for this class. I suppose you have all gotten them.
Yes.
No.
Okay, yeah, Kevin. So Lucy, are you not on the SSD 813 exclusive group?
I didn't even know they had started any group like that too.
Okay. All right. So I think you will be added by Takbe, who for now is the admin of that group. I shared both the lecture notes and the PowerPoints, so that as we are trying to run.
If you can help us to give us your contact so that we can reach you, because throughout yesterday that we could not reach you, there was no way we could confirm whether there was a lecture or not.
Okay, but I'm on that group. But I think in the circumstance, can I call out my number since not everybody is there? Should I call my number? If not, I'm added on the SSD.
Please. If you can call out your number.
Okay, so my number is 0806.
Okay, ma'am.
566. That is 566.
Yes, ma'am.
9559.
9559. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. All right. So sorry about the mix-up yesterday. My co-lecturer, the co-lecturer was supposed to take yesterday lecture. I got to know later that he wasn't available. So sorry about that. We tried to make up all that we couldn't do. So even though not everybody is around yet, but I think I want us to move. We lost time yesterday. So today we are going to look at the legal framework. We are not going to dwell so much on the legal framework because that aspect is a very straightforward aspect that you can read through in your notes and understand. I'll just highlight them. Legal framework here simply means those legal instruments that can guide you when we are talking about enforcement and penal system in Nigeria. And number one on the list is the Nigerian Constitution. If you remember, severally I emphasized that you should get a copy of the Constitution and take a look at it, because the fundamental human rights as contained in the Constitution is one of our guiding, regulations. You need to know your rights to be able to know when your rights are trampled upon. So it's an important regulation. Let me also encourage all of you. I keep emphasizing this in all my lectures, that do not ever make a mistake of thinking that the law is just about the lawyers. Law is not only about the lawyers, law is about you and me. Because some of these things, I'm not saying that when you are not knowledgeable about what belongs to you, somebody can come and take it away from you without you knowing. So all the rights that belong to the citizens, as long as you are a citizen of Nigeria, You are a partaker of those rights, and you should know it will also guide you in dealing with other people. So the penal system, like we were discussing the other day, somebody made a comment and felt he was dissatisfied with the level of punishment that is meted out by these people that are in the correctional centers. And I was glad to also receive a response from one of you that yes, those ones also have rights. And I think I was so happy with that response because, you know, one truth is that some of the people that you see in correctional centers are awaiting trial, and some actually did not commit the offenses that they are standing trial for. But the only way they could be exonerated is when they stand full trial. So while they are awaiting trial, they are remanded and they remain in prison custody until the full prosecution will take place. They will go to court. The court will hear them, take evidence, and sometimes some, at the end, it is discovered that they didn't even commit that offense. And you know, and as our society is, anybody can frame anybody up. And so long as heavy allegation is made against you, the onus is on you now to defend yourself. While the process of defending yourself sometimes takes time. That's why capital offenses like murder, armed robbery, you know, once an FIR is presented to the court and, you know, on the face of it, it's the allegation before somebody, an individual is that of murder or armed robbery, naturally the person will be remanded. And while he's in detention, waiting to prove his case, imagine that the person is giving a wrong treatment. And at the end of it all, it is discovered that he didn't even partake in that offense. Maybe he was either framed up, or he belonged to a wrong company, or he was in a wrong place to be, you know, to be associated with the event. So it's very key for us to know, and to also know that, you know, the onus of proof in criminal cases, in particular in Nigeria, is proof beyond reasonable doubt. So these people have a right to defend themselves. So they have the right. You know, that's why if you go to the Constitution, you will see one of the rights as right to fair hearing. And right to fair hearing entails that even if they say you have killed somebody, or they even caught you killing the person, the law still gives you an opportunity to come and defend yourself. If you can convince the court that you actually did not kill the person, or you raise a defense that can convince the court, you can be exonerated. You know, where it is otherwise, you'll be made to stand the full, you know, face the full wrath of the law. So these people are also entitled to certain rights while they are waiting trial. You know, you know, and then for other minor offenses that are even bailable, these people are still entitled to other rights. So the Nigerian Constitution has become a major legal instrument that should guide us on issues of penal system, punishment. There are some punishment that may be in excess of an offense. You need to understand all that. So it's important. Now, apart from the Constitution, you have the Criminal Code, the Penal Code, which operate in the North. The Criminal Code operates in the South. The Sharia Penal Code. You have the Nigerian Correctional Service Act, Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, the Armed Forces Act, Electoral Act, you know. So all of these are legal instruments that guide how the penal system in Nigeria should be meted out. Because I keep saying that this thing is not jungle justice. You know, people should be given an opportunity to defend themselves. So, like I said earlier, we won't spend so much time on that. We just took a rundown. Now, if there has to be regulatory bodies to enforce these laws. And what are these regulatory bodies? In Nigeria, we have institutions that carry out, enforce the law. or implement the law. Is if I take you back to the issue of the three arms of government, we have the judiciary, we have the legislature, we have the executive. All of them have their roles. The legislature can bring up laws. If the judiciary is not there to interpret the law can remain there. Anybody can, apply it the way they want. And the executive arm of government is there to enforce the policies that are made either from the legislature or from other regulatory bodies that are meant to bring out policies. So in the same way, there are regulated, statutory agencies that are saddled with the responsibility of enforcing or meting out penalties in Nigeria. And number one on the list is the Nigerian police force. They have the responsibility to investigate crime, arrest, and prosecute. So when a crime takes place, that's why even me and you, even if somebody comes and is stealing and you see the person, you have the power to arrest as an individual. But when you arrest such a person, you hand him over to the police. It's the police that will now know the nature of offense, the nature of punishment, the procedure to prosecute the person and what to do. So that, the jungle justice we see here, many people are dissatisfied with our Nigerian system and they feel that the best way to handle things is to, use the jungle justice. But, you also agree with me that sometimes a false allegation can be leveled against somebody. And if you apply jungle justice, you may be punishing somebody unjustly. So, in as much as our systems are not the best, the Nigerian police force is the one that is saddled with the responsibility to make arrests, investigate, and either prosecute or hand the case over to the relevant body. So they stand as number one when it comes to enforcement of a penal system. Are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am, we are hearing you, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so apart from the Nigerian police force, we have the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense, which is like a support system to the Nigerian police force, maintaining law and order. Then you have the Directorate of Public Prosecution, which is usually housed by ministries of justice, either at the federal or at the state level. The Directorate of Public Prosecution is the one that, when a case is brought to the police, and it's a capital offense, they don't have the powers to prosecute capital offenses like the ones that carry capital offenses are offenses that carry heavy penalty. So they don't have such power. So they refer such cases to Ministry of Justice. And Ministry of Justice will do what we call legal advice. They will take a look at the circumstances, investigate, look at the law, and if they feel that the first information report, which is what is called FIR, the first information report that has been brought by the police has substance, they give an advice that yes, this case should be prosecuted and this person should appear in court, give directive on what to do. So that Directorate of Public Prosecution is usually found in the Ministry of Justice and under the Department of Criminal Investigation. So they also have a role in the penal system, administration of a penal system. You have the Federal Ministry of Justice, who also provide legal advices. Actually, there are some cases that when they are sent to the Ministry of Justice and they look at the facts, there are some that the legal advice will come out and show that this person does not have any case. So he does not need to go through the process. So at that point, they can be discharged. Their advice will be discharged. They will give advice that the person should be discharged. So they have that level of control over the penal system. You have the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, handling drug-related offenses. Of course, we meet them on the highways when you are driving and they stop you. They want to check your vehicle. Maybe they see people that appear to be suspicious and they want to search. Where they find substances that are, drug-related, they have the power to arrest. They have the power to prosecute. They have levels of punishment to mete out to such people. And then we have the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, which investigate and prosecute financial crimes. So you can now see that there are levels of control and jurisdiction level. There are boundaries, there are levels of control. Everybody seems to have some level, that is under their control. When you come to EFCC, theirs is narrowed down to financial crime, but they also have the power to prosecute and to punish people who are involved in certain levels of financial crime. When such activities become criminal to a certain level, they can refer them to be prosecuted in courts. As some, they can seize properties, they can remit monies to the federal government account and all, which is where such people are found guilty of financial misappropriation or financial fraud. Now you have the ICPC, which is Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses. Theirs is also to investigate and to prosecute corrupt cases. Some of the roles, you can see them interconnecting or interdependence, but some of these defined regulatory bodies, some have specific roles that are tied to them. Then you come to Nigerian Correctional Service. Yes, I think the person that is just coming up should mute your mic, please. And Samuel, mute your mic so that the class will not be disturbed. Yes, please just mute your mic. When you have your space, you can speak. So the Nigerian Correctional Service, which manages prisons, rehabilitating offenders. We looked at the essence of the penal system, and one of which was to rehabilitate, correct, and reintegrate into the system. And that's what the Nigerian Correctional Service have the power to do. You have the Human Rights Commission, which investigate human rights violations in the penal system. Now, the Human Rights Commission has its offices all over Nigeria. It's a federal government body, but has offices situated in almost all the states. And where you feel that your rights are violated, you can even walk to their office and report. One of the free enlightenment I give to my students always is that many a times you have what you need immediately around you, but when you are not aware, you'll be losing out. It will be difficult for you to make use of what you have. Sometimes people's rights are violated, but the moment they will tell you that I don't have money to engage a lawyer to go to court, but there are free legal services. In fact, the next, apart from that one, you have what you call the Legal Aid Council. These are federal government agencies that government employ lawyers and is paying them. They are on federal government payroll. They are being paid by the federal government to assist people who cannot afford services of private lawyers to handle their cases. The Human Rights Commission in particular handle issues of human rights violation, where you feel that either your right to life, right to dignity of person, by the time you get familiar with the constitutional right, when your rights are violated, you can walk into those offices and make a report. They have the mandate to take it up. They can take it up even if it's an organization that is violating your right or a fellow individual. They know what to do. They are trained lawyers. They have the right to, take up cases of violation of fundamental human rights against individuals. So it's not just about, I don't have money to engage a lawyer. government is very mindful of the fact that your rights have to be respected. And where these rights are violated, you should seek redress. So money or no money, there's some level of provision that has been made by the government. So the Human Rights Commission is particular about violation of human rights. The Legal Aid Council now provide legal representation for indigent defendants. Let me stress something a bit on that. Now, this is where sometimes people get it all mixed up. Some people have had to accuse lawyers that lawyers are the ones that are defending criminals. You know, some will say, this person did this thing I knew very well. Everybody knew about it. It was a lawyer that stood and was defending the person. Now, the Legal Aid Council is an arm that is established by the federal government to defend people who are standing trial for capital offenses and cannot afford the services of lawyers. Now, it's not one of the rules of law. One of the strong rule in law is, it is principle of law. It is better to let off 99 criminals than to punish one innocent person. And that is why proof beyond reasonable doubt is a guiding principle in criminal law. The law is very careful that among the people that are standing trials, there are some people who may be truly innocent. Let's take, for example, maybe a group of young men, maybe students or friends, are in the same room. And out of them, some went out to rob, carried out a robbery. And when they came back, police got information that a robbery took place. They came, they traced the location of the suspects, and they come in. And the moment they come in, the normal thing is for them to make arrests. And as many people that maybe they found in the same room, they will arrest all of them. Now, it is difficult humanly for one of those people that are innocent to start telling the police that I am innocent, I did not know, I didn't even know where these my friends went to, and all of that and all of that. Now, when they say that, nobody will listen to them. Nobody will listen to them. Because even you, if you are in the shoe of the police, you will just take it that birds of the same feather flock together. So how that you are in the same room and, you know, kind of a friend with somebody, people that are robbers, high tendency is that you are one of them. And humanly, and from a layman point of view, you will be right in your own way. Now, imagine that let's say 4 young people are in the same room. 3 of them went out for robbery. They came back. You know, maybe they could tell a story that went for a party or went for something or went and read, and they quietly come into the room, and 4 of them, eventually police come knocking and they are arrested. When they go and they are standing trial, this one person that is sincerely innocent, it will be difficult for him to convince. Now, imagine a charge of robbery is read against the 4 of them. If it's not for prosecution and representation, it will be difficult for this one innocent person to defend himself successfully before the court by separating himself from these 3 people. And in the wisdom of the law, government feels that, okay, and imagine this one person does not even have money to engage a lawyer. And looking at the complex nature of the law, the legal system now, the legal system is not of oral jurisdiction. What I mean by that is that in the past, if you had an issue, you can walk to court, institute an action, and tell the court your story verbally. But now, the court embarks on what we call front loading. Everything is typed out. Now, if you give it to somebody who even has a PhD in another field, it will be difficult for him to put these documents together and file in court. So the law feels that now, if you allow this one person who is innocent to go and defend himself, in fact, as innocent as he is, he will end up being convicted and either sentenced to death over what he knows nothing about. So on account of that, government has brought in the Legal Aid Council, which also a federal government agency but has offices all over the state. Now, the Legal Aid Council is where you can actually walk in if you are standing trial. This one has also a limitation. The cases they take on particularly are mostly capital offenses that are criminal in nature, because capital offenses that are criminal in nature have grievous consequences. Now you tend towards going to prison for 10 years, for 12 years, for 15 years, or you are sentenced to death. They want to ensure that this person should have a right of defense. Even if at the end he cannot succeed, let it not be seen that if he had an opportunity to defend himself, at least he would have succeeded in defending himself. So I want to make this point clear so that we understand. And right to defense is a constitutional right. If you go and read fair hearing under the 1999 Constitution, read it very well, fair hearing in particular, you discover that right of representation, that is right to get a lawyer, is a fundamental human right that is in the Constitution. Number two, right to defense is a right. So you are given that opportunity, and the fact that you are represented in court does not mean that you will always win. Let this point also be made clear. You will not always win. People that are sentenced to death also have lawyers. But if the weight of evidence does not favor you, the court will go ahead and give judgment against you. So a lawyer standing to speak for an individual in court is not an indication that he necessarily want that person to be let off the hook, whether he was right or wrong. And of course, sometimes when a lawyer sees that this case is obviously a case that this person committed, some, not in all cases, some can go ahead and encourage their clients to admit their guilt before the courts. And when they do that admission, the court can give a summary judgment, and the lawyer can plead with the court to reduce the weight of the sentence, because this person has shown that is remorseful. So sometimes the sentence is reduced and all of that. So I'm going over this thing round, so that by the time you are done with this course, it will help you take off the impression that lawyers are the ones that support people who are criminals. I have seen some people really even hate lawyers for these things. They say, yes, they are the ones that went and defended this person that was troubling the whole community. When they took him, he was brought out again, going around the streets. And, yes, it's true. And, sometimes it's not just the fault of the lawyer. Sometimes the fault is of the system itself, that gives room for some of these things. So I want us to understand that no matter how criminal an individual is, he's a citizen. And until the court convicts him, he's innocent until proven otherwise. So his innocence stands. So we cannot blame the lawyers. It's his constitutional right to be defended. And the government to know that. That's why they've made provision. In fact, sometimes even the members of Legal Aid Council can go as far as going to the prison to interview the inmates to find out if actually some are just there for years, their cases are not going on. And the singular reason is that they don't have legal representation. Are we there? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, you are there. All right. So I'll soon give room for us to make input, but let's run down the institutions. So because of the relatedness of the Human Rights Commission and the Legal Aid Council, I jumped the Nigerian courts, and the judiciary is one of the fathers of issuing penalties. So it's a key stakeholder in the Nigerian penal system. And in Nigeria, we have various levels of courts. We have the Supreme Court, which is the apex. We have the Court of Appeal. We have the Federal High Court. We have the High Courts. We have the Magistrate Court. We have Area Courts. We have Customary Courts. We have Customary Court of Appeal. We have Sharia Courts. We have Sharia Court of Appeal. You know, and we even have related adjudicatory bodies. Like if you go to the Ministry of Justice, you have what we call the Mediation Center. They also mediate over some things. If you go to the police, you have what we call even the gender office. So at all levels, there's provision for people to seek intervention, in cases where there are offenses. So the various courts are there for anybody to walk to court via your lawyer now almost necessarily, except very lower courts that are situated in the villages where people still give oral and make oral presentation. Apart from that, then you have the Nigerian Bar Association, which is the lawyers in the private sector mostly, that are there, that you can brief them to give you direction on what's actually your challenge. And they help to enforce the law, because at the level of lawyers, they can actually sit parties together and talk with them and reach an agreement. They can help to represent you. They can help to, at various levels of interventions, they can mediate, they can do certain things, they can sometimes just to give you an advice on what to do, and you are off the matter. So all these institutions work together to enforce law, investigate crime, prosecute offenders, and rehabilitate those that are convicted. All right. So from what we've said so far, I know that something may be someone may have something in mind that you want to contribute, because I love the last class we had where you air your own opinion. We've talked about the legal system, the instruments. We also talk about the regulatory bodies. So is there anybody in the class that wants to air out your opinion on something, the effectiveness or otherwise of any of these systems, or anything that you can make as a contribution to strengthening both the system or the law? So you now have the floor, can make contributions if you have.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, yes.
Ma, you mentioned the names of the courts, the adjudicatory bodies. I want to find out the place of National Industrial Court in this system, if they have any role to play as far as adjudication is concerned. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, certainly. Yes. I didn't just exhaust all the courts. The National Industrial Courts have the jurisdiction to adjudicate over issues of employer-employee relationships, issues of industrial. They are there to ensure industrial harmony, where your employee is not treating you well, people that have suffered unjust or undue terminations, where your emoluments are not giving you, rather than going through the conventional courts, the law or the government established this, specialized courts. There are specialized agencies too, like the electoral tribunals, just to make sure that you get justice within record time. And theirs is to focus on the issue of employer-employee relationship, issues of industrial crisis. That's why in industrial courts, there's also always ample room given for people who want to mediate. When you take your employer to court and he feels, okay, I've seen merit in what you are asking, let's withdraw this thing and go and settle it. Room is given for settlement out of course. You go and reach terms and come and file your terms of settlement, and the court supervises to ensure that what your employer told you, he didn't go back on it. And once that is settled, it is done. So they have a rule for that. And by punishing even employers is an aspect of penal system. because there are instances where people's employments are either terminated or they get dismissals that are unjust, that are based on personal sentiments and personal grudges. And such instances, the court has had cause to order reinstatement of some people who were terminated for up to like 5 or 10 years, before the matter was concluded. So they are asked to be reinstated. Their arrears of monies that we owe have to be paid. Their promotions should be given them and all of that. So they have a very key role. While the other courts may marry both criminal and civil cases, the National Industrial Court focuses on the issue of employer-employee relationship to ensure welfare, to ensure, that everything is on well, and also to settle. Sometimes it's not only about reinstatement, sometimes it's about a treatment that is meted out to somebody and the person did not feel it's okay for him to be treated like that. And let me also use this occasion to stress further that, every established organization has its own internal dispute resolution mechanisms. If you are working in an organized sector, for the sake of harmony and in order to reduce volumes of litigation, it's, there's always an internal, Lucy, we are coming to you. Let me just finish up this explanation. And there's that room. Every organization has to put in place naturally areas where when a dispute comes up, a channel and opportunity is given for people to channel their grievances. And eventually when they have exhausted such internal mechanisms and they cannot get what they are looking for, it becomes easier for them to take it up. That's when you are still working. Because some people believe that when you are still at work, you cannot sue your employer. But when it is shown that you have exhausted the internal dispute resolution mechanism and you can't get justice, you have the right to approach the National Industrial Courts. Thank you. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, so where is Lucy? Lucy's hands was up. Are you still there, Lucy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think I saw your hand. You have the floor now.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning.
I wanted to ask about the role of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Are they also part of the penal system?
Yes, they are. Theirs is about your assets. That's why I said that though we mentioned some of these things, we didn't exhaust them. Anything that has to, these are just the regulated, just a few regulated penal system and statutory bodies. You talk about assets declaration. They are there to check. We have also seen instances where people got appointments or got employed, and after a short while, much less than is expected of them, they are seen to have acquired assets that are beyond, their earnings by the estimation of their employer. So such people can be checked. And naturally, I know that some of these things are put in place to really strengthen the system, but many a times is when people want to contest that the people want to check them, they begin to go to Code of Conduct to go and check whether they declare their assets when they came into office, and when they were leaving the office, they also declare. The essence is actually to check misappropriation while in office. If it is seen that, oh, while you were coming, you were this what, as you are going, you are this what, and in between, how much was your earnings, And on a normal day, if it is considered that your earnings are not commensurate with what you have gained or the material acquisition you've got, you are supposed to be punished for it. But many a times, people are not even careful. But I think since this thing has come up, it's important for us to take note. These are things you really don't take for granted, because some people took this for granted and it became a very big issue for them, even in our country, Nigeria. So it's very important that we ensure that to be on the safe side, you do the much that you can do. Thank you. I don't know if I've answered you successfully.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, okay. So I, having left the statutory bodies, we will look at, this is where I really want us to dwell, because we are looking at the impact, both the positive and the negative impact of the penal system on the society. And I want you to be prepared to contribute here, because we try to come down to earth on this issue so that we can relate it. At the end of this course, if you go out and you are a head of an organization or at whatever rank you are, this course will impact you to know that punishment is not just about being wicked. Punishment does not entail wickedness. Punishment meted out that is commensurate with the offense is just a form of correction, is a form of instilling discipline into the system. And this way we want to talk about the impact. If it were just that we don't need punishment or we don't need to enforce any rule, then I said from the beginning that there won't be need at all for life will be unbearable for all of us, because anybody can walk into your room. If he's stronger than you, he will cut away with your materials. And if you don't have the strength, the physical strength to resist him, then so be it. And anybody can do anything. But the penal system is there to check and to, at least streamline what should be and what should not be. So we are looking at the impact. We take time to look at the impacts and both the positive and the negative impact. I think basically today, then by our last lecture tomorrow, we look at the reforms and we look at the comparisons between the various jurisdictions of the world, because Nigeria is not operating in isolation. So if at the end, what we do is completely different from what others are doing, we also try to see what we can do to make up and what we can borrow to add value or to add color to what we are doing. So impacts, positive and negative. So we start from the positive. What's the impact of the system, of the penal system generally, this enforcement issue? Why do we need to enforce it? And if we have been enforcing it, how has it helped? And if we refuse to enforce, how will you also how will that affect the society? You are a student of the society. Don't forget. We are talking of the impact on the society, and the society is also you and me. The society is that other person that we relate with every day. Society is not just structures. It's not physical buildings. It's, all of us. So one of the first positive impacts of maintenance is maintenance of law and order. The penal system.
Hello, ma.
Yes.
I
Hello,
would like to ask a question. Yes, I would like to ask a question.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
The discussion that we are doing so.
Hello? Hello? Is there any other person hearing me in the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am,
I can
hearing you,
hear
ma'am.
you, but
Well, we hearing you.
Okay, but the person asking questions, suddenly I couldn't hear him. I don't know if other people are hearing him, but I couldn't hear him again.
no.
Okay.
Something
Maybe when he
Sorry, ma. I am back. I am back online. The network is not friendly with me.
okay, all right. You
Then
can
the
go ahead.
second one is that.
No, I didn't even hear the
I've made to understand that.
Takpe, we didn't hear anyone.
The
Even
first
the
one
first
I
one, we
did.
didn't
Okay, Takwe,
Okay.
can you go back
Are
to
you
the first
hearing me
question?
now?
Yes, we can. We are hearing you now.
Yes. The first one I asked, I say one of the procedures, like the police as an institution, they have to investigate before they make arrest. But what is it that at most cases they arrest before they make investigations? Then, secondly, I've meant to understand that in the northern part of the country, we operate both the penal code and the criminal code. Is it true? And if it is true, why? Those are my questions, ma.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, let me correct an impression. You say the police, instead of investigating before making arrests, they arrest before making investigation. When a crime takes place, the first thing that the police is supposed to do, is to make arrests. And that arrest, let's understand this very well. Arrest is not necessarily meant to go and detain the people and keep them. Where things run normally, police arrest simply means an invitation to come to the police station and explain. That's why when it is not in active criminal practice, as in when somebody is not practically caught in the act of crime, police sometimes write a letter and invite you. I don't know if anybody is following me.
We are with
Is
you.
there
We are
anybody
following you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but this happens only to the big men. A common man doesn't enjoy the privileges of invitation and subsequently asking the person to make a statement, and he is invited if there are any discrepancies. It is only the big man that enjoys those privileges.
Okay, Takwe, it's not only the big man. Let me explain why sometimes arrest you have to come before investigation and why sometimes you are invited. It depends on the gravity of what happened. Now, if an allegation of crime is made in a place, the normal thing is that many times when there is suspicion, people are invited in a civil way. They don't rest, they don't honor it. So if there is emergency attached to it, the only way police can get your attention to come to the police station is to go and bring you. The only thing that I also differ with the police is that many a time the treatment meted out to the, let me say, accused in the circumstance is unconstitutional. If they are brutal or if they are uncivil about it, it's only when somebody is resisting arrest that it has to be treated with force. Otherwise, it's supposed to be a civil way. Even if you are going to enter the police van and go to the police station, it shouldn't be a fight on a normal day. So I want to disagree with you a little, not completely, because our system has been infected and affected by several factors. So sometimes it's difficult for you to wholeheartedly speak for a system. So in the circumstance where, imagine people are on the run, there's a crime and police gets a call, and when they appear at the scene, people are trying to avoid, they are trying to run. In such instances, certainly they have to insist on carrying this person to the police station. On a normal day upon arriving at the police station, that's where investigation now starts. You write a statement, And if it's the kind of thing that requires detention, they keep you for the limited number of hours that the Police Act has prescribed. Now, I also partly agree with you that undue influence has affected almost all our institutions, not only the police. So, DS, may have been to an extent, maybe because of the way people view them. You know that police people also feel insecure in our society. They are looked upon as wicked people. They are looked upon as people that are brutal. They are looked upon as people that extort. They have a very bad image. It's not me that's giving them that image, so don't hold me accountable for that. It is what the society. So sometimes they're also like on a defensive side, and they act in such a way they feel they are not quite appreciated. So they act in the other way round. So honestly, if you go through the Police Act, there's a conduct that is specified of them. And ordinarily, if it's in cases that are not grievous cases, after making statement in the police station, you are even supposed to be giving bail to go if the matter is not supposed to go on in prosecution, because they too have some powers to decide some cases and even end them there. The way it is an issue that will go on in prosecution that will have to go to court, or they will need to send to Ministry of Justice, you have to be taken out on bail. And the reason is that in case you have abscond, the person that came and bailed you, we ensure it provides you to come and stand trial. So sometimes to make some of these conclusive statements, we may be right and sometimes we may not be right. So I cannot completely agree with you that it's only the big men that enjoy such rights. It could just be that personality of our police personnel too differ. There are some that are still very civil in their activities. And when they approach you, they talk to you with dignity, they respect your rights, and why some, even if it's in the majority. And I've also seen where police have been punished for being brutal to people. I was personally involved when the federal government in that NSAS protest that led to the federal government setting up investigative panels, setting up panels in all the nation to look into activities of police and the force system in Nigeria. I don't know, is there anybody that can remember that incident that time, the NSAS movement that led? Is there
Yes,
anybody
ma'am.
that's aware? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so that's also to tell you that even the government is mindful. When the NSAS happened, there were panels that were set in every state, and it was deliberately to look into cases of police brutality and the force. And in one of the cases, I happened to witness myself live where somebody was killed in the course of arrest. And strong evidence was given in courts. And the matter board went to that panel, and I think it also went to a conventional court eventually. So, very serious weight of evidence was against the police officer in particular who was on duty, who treated this person brutally. The evidence was drawn from the hospital where this victim was taken, and all the eyewitnesses reports and all. So eventually, the courts had to award heavy fines to the family of the deceased person, though he had already died, unfortunately, but heavy fine was levied against the police. He was both dismissed from work, and he was he was also relieved of his job. So I want you to know that we are suffering a total systems failure. We are suffering a total systems failure. So maybe it's going to be a divine intervention, a divine intervention that will bring help to us, because the police themselves need to be supervised. Yes, they have regulatory bodies. Yes, the court is also there to review their activities. And I've seen instances where in enforcement of fundamental human rights proceedings in courts, heavy fines are also made against the police, the Nigerian army. And if any of you remember one case that also happened in Benue here, in Makurdi here, where a staff of BIRS who was on duty at North Bank was shot by the men of the Nigerian armed forces. The matter was taken up and the judgment was given, I think, last year by the High Court, a High Court sitting in Benue. I cannot remember the fine, because in enforcement proceedings, many at times, it's fines that are awarded. They don't go into sentencing because, it's the proceeding particularly is to ensure that you don't lose your, you should be paid for at least the losses. Even if the person has died, the relatives should be compensated to a level, at least to take care of the surviving members of the family. So this person's case was on, and the court saw heavy weight of evidence that was against the Nigerian army and their men that did this activity. And I think a fine of about 15 million or so. I'm not very certain, but it was a High Court in Makurdi here that awarded that. So I want to say that it's not only the big men that enjoy some of this. Sometimes we are just not also too aware of how we can seek redress. And when we suffer, certain things in the hands of the police, or not only the police, all the security agencies, they have the mandate to protect your rights. They are not supposed to abuse your rights. So when it comes to the abuse of your own rights, you can seek redress. And I also want to reiterate the fact that get to be conversant with your rights. First of all, what are your rights in all that they do? Do you know you are supposed to stay in a police station only for a specified number of hours? You are not supposed to stay there for 1 week. But if you are not aware that you are not supposed to stay there for 1 week and the police keep you there for 1 week, you cannot approach the court to seek redress. But when you do and you can prove it, certainly you will be several times I'm in court and I've seen the police being awarded, being fined very heavily for their brutal activities. Sorry, your second question. Are you there? Hello? Hello, class. Is there anybody there?
We are here.
Yes, we're here.
Yeah, the person that asked the question is like, I cannot hear him, I can't see him. Is anybody seeing him? I cannot
Yes, he's
see
still
him.
on the call. Takpe is still on the call, though.
Is he where?
He's still amongst the participants here.
Okay, did somebody get his second question? I can't remember the second question because he's not responding.
Yes, I am here, ma. The second question I asked was that there is this understanding that in the northern part of this country, we operate both the criminal and the penal code. If it is true, why then? That was the second question.
The second question was about the penal code. No, the penal code operates in the north, while the criminal code operates in the south. What we have that looks like the criminal code is the Administration of Criminal Justice. It's a renewed version that sought to update. If not, the penal code covers the northern Nigeria. the criminal code covers the South in administering criminal justice. But there's new administration of criminal justice system, which is a singular document that regulates Nigeria all. Is an upgrade, an update on the two different codes, it's like a unifying version of what should take care of the two. And the reason for the dual system is that the northern Nigeria had certain things that were very peculiar to them. There were certain offenses that were considered to be crime in the north, and they were not considered to be crime in the south. So in order to make the law friendly and to the people, because when we're talking about history, we trace even the history of penal system to the pre-colonial era. So it became while the laws were being couched, all these things were taken into account and were accommodated. So, but now they are trying to strengthen the law and harmonize it in a way. So the administration of criminal justice is trying to take care of the differences. So can we go on now? Yes, I should think so, because we may run out of time. Now, the impact of the penal system. I was talking about the maintenance of law and order. And I said that if the penal system was not in place, in fact, in the course of explaining the question of your colleague, the first question on the issue of treatment of police and the victims, I think I have already touched on this issue of maintenance of law and order, punishing offenders and deterring potential criminals. If there is no punishment, do you know that we can also be victims in the hands of the enforcement agents that are supposed to protect us? So it's not only you that should be orderly. Every system has to come under order. That's why even the three arms of government are supposed to check themselves. If you were a student of government and you did checks and balances, that's the essence. Now, in our workplaces, if there's no law, anybody can come to work anytime, go back anytime, no order at all. And there can be no progress in any society if there's no law and order. You talk about protection of citizens, enforcement of law, and punishing failure. Protect citizens from harm by removing dangerous offenders from the society. You see, now if you were here from the first lecture, you could see that the ends and goals of the Nigerian penal system is being duplicated in a way here. How the penal system, when we saw we were treating the ends, you can see them almost being duplicated here on a positive side, meaning that these goals have been achieved to a level, to an extent. Rehabilitation is the penal system that has helped in rehabilitating offenders, helping them to become better persons in the society. You can agree with me that actually some people, when they go to jail and they come back, they are better people. Some are hardened, but that has to do with the human factor and personality issues. So we cannot force everybody to be repentant, but some people, what they go through, they will never want to go back to such, a place or go through such experiences. Your rights and liberties being taken away from you, so many people come out, they are rehabilitated. It makes them to be sober, makes them to think twice, makes them to think of being productive instead of going through dubious means, to acquire wealth. Now, it also strengthens the justice system, where victims, family members, where there is punishment. I mentioned this thing too. So these and many more are the positive impacts on the system. When there's no enforcement or when there is no punishment for offenses, it can also breed more criminals. Some will just be reactive, some will be angry because of what has befallen them and there was nothing was done about it. They can turn to crime. they will be offended. I have heard people, well, let me say this one on a positive side in a way, saying that they went to the university to read law because of the way either their father's land was taken away from him by force and he was helpless. So because of that, they made up their minds from the beginning to read law. So they felt injustice was done to their own person. So the only way they can also help is by reading this law so that they can be useful to their families. So the same way the issue of justice system, where there is no punishment and people go away, people go scot-free when they fail, but the system, it can rather encourage others. Say, well, if it can do this and walk the street free, then it's easier, and some whose parents or relatives or loved ones are victims of crime or injustice can just also begin to devise their own ways of, becoming more, becoming wicked and doing wickedness to others. Yes, there may be several other positive impacts. We will also look at the negative impacts. Now, one of the negative impacts, especially on our prison system, is the overcrowding. A lot of reforms have taken place in the Nigerian prison system, now the Nigerian correctional system. Many people, if you have ever taken time to visit the prison or the correctional center, you will agree with me that the experience there is not palatable. In the last class, one of the participants said he went to the prison and he saw the kind of food that these people were eating, and he felt, they have made life so easy for these people. How will they feel sober about where they are and change? I don't know. If there's anybody that has ever visited the prison, can you also talk to us? Is it just that their food is good? Do you like everything that you see there? I expect a response, please. Yes, Lucy, your hand is up, yes.
I don't want to agree with that our classmate that said the people were well fed. Because if you go, most of the times, even the food that these prisoners eat, except people who have their family members to bring good food for them, you hardly find the food that these people eat is not good. Most of the times, the contractors, if you see the food, especially soups like this that they are supposed to give to these people, you will cry for them. So I'm
Okay.
surprised that somebody is saying they were eating very good food. I have had occasions to go to that place, and even the sanitary conditions,
Yeah.
a lot of them, when you go, you see them, they have developed some kind of skin infections.
Yes, sure. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Is there any other person that has had experience in the prison system in Nigeria here from the class that you can share with us?
Hello, ma.
You've never gone there. Try to go there. Yes,
Hello, ma.
yeah,
Hello, ma.
yes, we're
What,
hearing you.
what I even want to say is that the experience there is not the one that somebody would want to be there, because for the fact that you are right, they are being limited, it is another problem. Psychologically, it is a problem, except a hardened criminal that will want to be in that kind of a place. Otherwise, it is not a place for somebody to go.
Sure. Okay. Now, I perfectly agree. Personally, I don't even wish to even go there to visit. I've had occasions to go to prison because of my profession, go to the police station. Sometimes the smell alone that greets you from afar. It's as if it's always heat is always emitting from where these people gather plenty. So honestly, the overcrowding system itself is like a violation of their rights, because that alone can kill some people. I think it's only God that has been keeping them there. So that leads to unsanitary conditions. It makes people contract sicknesses. So in a bid to be corrected, some people have found the end of their lives in a way. And it's a major challenge, actually. Several reforms have been proposed to the issue of the Nigerian correctional system to improve on their health. And like Lucy said, honestly, I've had cause some time to meet. I'm sorry to say if there's any staff of correctional center in the class, but sometimes you will meet some of them buying food items in the markets, and it's as if they want to go for the least quality. I've witnessed that before. So I'm not against anybody, but looking at that alone, if you are a human being, it sends a message that these people are not being fairly treated. Now, that takes you back to what I said. If you stand afar and you make a sharp conclusion that, oh, it serves them right, then it will amaze you that some of the people that are receiving this kind of treatment have no single idea of what took them there. It happens. And you see how long our justice system takes place. How long sometime in Benue, in recent time, we had instances where the court was on strike for up to 5 months. And all the people are waiting trial, in fact, even waiting for bail. They have to be there. They have to be there. There was a time the chief judge wanted to constitute or constituted an immediate court, at least to grant bail to people who were there on bailable offenses. But at some point, that had to stop because of the heat that was in the judiciary and all. So, for 5 good months, the courts were on strike. And imagine that maybe something happened and they just made a flimsy accusation and you were remanded, because some offenses are bailable. You only need to bring a formal bail application to the magistrate court and it will be granted. And while this process was on, the court went on strike. And nobody has the jurisdiction to order for bail except the courts. So you now see why I keep saying this thing is like a systems failure. Where you blame one person, you discover that another failure in the system leads to another. It's like a chain of a system's collapse. So imagine that this kind of a person who is completely innocent finds himself there and hasn't even an opportunity to be heard by court yet, because for 5 good months, because the court were on strike. And the workers in the judiciary too were only craving for their own welfare. So they also have the right to agitate. Right to go on strike is also a right. Agitating for their own welfare. So, at the end, who exactly is to be blamed? You say, okay, we blame the government. Is it the government that is in prison? No. It's the normal person that is there. And who is the government? Is it the governor that you go and take to the prison because, no, he's under immunity. No matter how bad those things are, you can't even want to drag the governor and say, okay, because we are so angry that you have failed and to pay these so allowances that they know he's properly immune. You cannot. So it's a systems failure. The overcrowdedness and all of that is of a negative impact. It's not only the prison, the police station is the same. Sometimes the smell is so terrible that I used to even sympathize with the police officers that are on duty. Whether they've gotten used to it, I don't know. Now, corruption is another impact. Now, I don't want to talk about the issue of the police station, but sincerely, the issue of bail, you go there and they write bail is free. But I don't know if there's anybody in the class here that's aware of when somebody was granted bail free. The person can tell us, So in a way, corruption has impacted negatively on our penal system. What about the offices? Let's even leave the police out. What happened in our offices? Even in the workplace adjudicatory system, where committees are being set to try officers and all of that. Some officers will go behind, visit the members of the committee, give them money and all. So you now happen to see the system trying to be fair to people who are guilty of certain things. So, where the penal system is not operating well, it can lead to, unfair treatment and miscarriage of justice. Sometimes we hear cases of, I'm not a witness, please. Sometimes we hear cases of maybe they have bribed judges, they have done that and all. I've heard. I'm only saying I heard. So if it is true, then it may temper with the fairness or the mind of the judge. So at the end, yes, he's punishing somebody who shouldn't be punished and setting free somebody who shouldn't be set free. So corruption has really, really affected our penal system. It has impacted negatively because if you see the symbol that you see in courts, that symbol that is like a lady, one of the reasons why her eyes are covered is that it's not supposed to be biased. It's not supposed to be influenced by money, by faces. That's why, honestly, on a normal day, if a case is coming up before a judge and you are related to that judge, the judge in his own honor is supposed to decline hearing that case and remit the file back to the chief judge to reassign the case, because he's not a superhuman. He's a human being. So tendencies are that, this person has been my primary school mate, is appearing before me. It's so difficult to do the other way. So in order to have an unbiased mind, you can decline openly and give reasons that no, so person was like this, is my relation, is like that. So I decline, I'll remit the file to the chief judge, he will reassign the case. So in order to avoid being biased. So the way corruption is involved, some people even go and lobby who should hear which case and all. At all levels, in the workplace, in the judiciary, in the police, we've heard several cases of EFCC cases, where you hear allegations of this person was arrested and was before EFCC on allegation of fraud like this, and they will say, okay, they went and used money to change this and all of that. So the potency of the penal system that should rather strengthen the system, you see offenders going about free. And it has watered the whole thing and it has affected the society. At the end, I want you to see the effect on the society, because that's where the whole thing will stop. People will now say, like one of the participants earlier said, that this thing only favors the rich, where they also use undue influences to facilitate their cases and affect the minds of the judges, and the people can be fair in their minds in doing what's there. Now, the human right violation, there have been reports of human right violation within the prisons and and the police. So why this system is supposed to enforce the rules and strengthen the penal system? Sometimes you hear cases of torture, like the example I gave. This one is no longer a hearsay. Somebody was tortured in the hands of the police until he died. I witnessed the case live. I was not there when they were beating him, but when the matter was being heard in court, I was there live. And I attended the tribunal of NSAS, and I heard terrible cases. In fact, in one of the instances, a father I think 2 of his children were killed by police brutality. He came and testified. He was in tears, physical tears, a man. So issues of torture, human rights violation. So in a bid to enforce and strengthen the law, you see the other way around. And people, the society rather grieves and is angry. That's why sometimes you see the affronts, the attacks that people launch against the law enforcement agents, sometimes because of the unfair treatments that they get. So sometimes, rather than enforce the law and punish offenders, we see violation of human rights. You see torture. People are being taken to prison. They are maltreated, and some, their cases are not even determined. So you don't even know whether they are guilty or not. Even if they are guilty, there's a specified punishment that is prescribed in law for their offenses. So wait for them to serve those punishments rather than give them extra torture. And so then the social stigma. Sometimes convicts are faced with stigma when they come out. Some, it becomes very difficult for them to reintegrate into the system. So now, because of the volatile nature of our society now, sometimes you could see that this particular point sometimes affects even parents at home. I have seen instances where some children, sometimes teenagers or young people, when they are found guilty of certain things and they are to be punished, they quickly go and take their lives, commit suicide, So making it look as if the penal system is rather the one bringing, stigma, because of the stigma that comes with it. Yes, this one may have its negative effect, but I think the mindset of the society is a contributory factor on how people react. I heard of a case of a student in a university that committed suicide because he was caught cheating in an exams, and the system had not even taken a decision on what to do, but he could foresee the possible punishment, and he already took his life before any decision could be taken. So while the penal system is correcting others, some feel stigmatized and they can't even cope with the stigma and react in different ways. Some become more hardened, because we hear instances where people say that when you go to prison, you become the person is more hardened, becomes a hardened criminal more than how he came. So it becomes like a negative impact. And I think I want to leave this one to a discussion. Now, why some people feel, let me run down, then we'll go back to that. I want us to discuss that. I'll leave it for now. Then the economic burden, the penal system places a significant economic burden on the government. Yes, I took time to explain the role of Human Rights Commission and the Legal Aid Council. Government has set up these bodies and has employed lawyers and workers who are working there under the payroll of the government. So it's a huge diversion of resources, but again, it has it's in one way. On one hand, is a burden. On another hand, the government has a responsibility of making the society safe for everyone. Now, then, limited access to justice, meaning Nigerians, particularly the poor, have limited access to legal representation, and the penal system. So, but I've also profiled the solution to an extent. I know many people are not even aware that some of these avenues exist. These are avenues you can explore if your case is less complicated and you can spend less money. There is mediation center at the Ministry of Justice. You don't need to pay much money. There are lawyers that are employed by government under the ministry. They are there to look into mediate. So some minor cases that don't necessarily need to go to court, sometimes matrimonial cases, sometimes disputes or somebody is owing another and you only need a third party to ensure issues of contracts that have failed. You can pass them through some of these avenues and you can be, you can get solution out of it, because the orders that are given at mediation centers are entered as consent judgment, and they have the force of law behind them. So you can be helped. If it is a matrimonial case, somebody can mediate, and other offenses that are less harmful, are not too grievous. You don't need to be afraid and just die in silence. Then the legal aid counsel is there to handle the criminal cases that are even capital, that necessarily needs an intervention of a lawyer. And then you also have the Human Rights Commission that can help you out. But above all, where you can afford the services of a lawyer, it's important for you also to make use of the lawyers, because they are also trained, and their training should not be taken for granted. Now, back to social stigma. I want us to look at the for and against the social stigma impact on the society, because this one affects you very directly. Now, should we forego punishment because it brings social stigma on the society or on people, or should we stick to it? So I want the class to discuss. We are going to discuss that and end the class on that note. So if you are there and you want to make contribution, you indicate so that we give you the floor. Okay, so
Yes,
Lucy's
ma'am. Can I
hand.
say something? Hello, ma'am.
Yes, whose hand is somebody else's hand is, or who is talking?
This is Uzoma, ma'am.
Okay, Ozoma, go ahead. Lucy, I'll
Yes,
get
ma'am.
back to you later. Let him say what he wants to say.
Yes, ma'am. I don't think it should be proper and right for us to forgo punishment in our system. Of course, there must be deviance. There must be
Yes.
misunderstandings. There must be issues that will arise, that must arise in our society, because we are from different backgrounds, with different upbringings, different cultures, traditions, ways of life, and all these things. And some people, no matter how you train them, always want to do what is in their mind. And most times, those things go against the law guiding a particular society. So when these issues come up like this, something must be done to put them to
Okay.
If there's no punishment for wrongdoing, people will see it as not a norm in society and will continue to do it.
Wow. Okay. That's a sound contribution. Okay, Lucy's hand was up earlier. Okay, you've not yet done. Or the thing is breaking somehow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, you have the floor, your contribution.
I'm of the opinion that we should not forego a correction or punishment, especially when it causes, it results in social stigma.
Yeah.
Because if we do it, if we say because of social stigma, we want to forego punishment, the society will become unsafe for many people. It will be like running, a banana kingdom. Everybody is doing whatever they like because there will be no recourse to any form of correction.
Okay. All right. Any other contribution?
Yes, ma. I want to also make a contribution.
Okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I think the other person is. Okay, it appears Starkbase's place has a network issue. Okay, maybe we get back to him later when we can hear him. Hello. Yes, you are back. Who is on now?
Unisa.
Okay, yes, you can go ahead.
Okay.
We are hearing you. Yes.
My contribution is this: if we let go of punishment because of the social stigma, I think is very wrong. The reason is this: punishment serve as a deterrent to those people who have same intention to commit that particular crime someone have committed previously. So that punishment serve as a deterrent to them that this thing the person did is wrong. Secondly, even to the person that committed the crime, he knows that yes, this thing I did that I've been punished is wrong, and it will prevent that person from repeating same mistake or same error. Let me use the word error or same crime. Deal to serve as a deterrent who have in the same intention.
Okay. All right. So I quite agree with all of you, and as students of the society, you have a lot to do in our current generation that is advocating issues of mental health. You know, I've heard arguments of people who are always canvassing issues of mental health, you know, appearing as though everything that we put pressure on a person should be done away with. And some have taken that theory to an extent that, okay, if somebody misbehaves and he's to be punished, and because he's not comfortable with that, they will say it will affect his mental health. It will affect his mental health. And I've had cause to argue with people that yes, everybody has a mental health issue. Now, if I am affected by the action of another person, and it's that other person's mental health that is to be protected more, I also have mental health to be protected. It's just like the issues of fundamental human rights, where you are very conscious of your own right, you also have to be very conscious of another person's right. So I want to leave that to you and to all of us. You are students of the society, and we need to canvass for some of these values, because this issue of social stigma has affected the penal systems in other jurisdictions. And that's why, you know, you go to the West now, the rights, everybody has a right. You cannot correct a child. The child rights forbids this one, forbids that one. But then we are all seeing the nature of society that is in existence in some of those places. And it's very obvious, because you cannot beat your child. We are in touch with other jurisdictions. You can't beat even your own child. You cannot shout. They say you should persuade the person. It will affect his mental health. You know, in all of this, there is high rate of suicide in these same societies. So I think that if we are students of the society and we are talking about the issue of penal system, you can now relate it now to your own area as a specialist. Even if you are a development worker, even if you are, you know, you can also see that some of the people that we pick in IDP camps who have witnessed brutality that is done to their relatives, how they even need to be rehabilitated, because they've seen the torture that they are going through is mostly because some of the people that perpetrated this wickedness, nothing has been done to them. It's difficult for them to recover. They live in that torture. Do you know some will be relieved at least if they get to know that these people are apprehended and are punished for their misdeeds? The fact that they are going about free is so difficult for many people to come to terms with. So we are going to end on this note, and I want to leave this big task to you as a student of of a social standard, talking about standards, talking about society. You know, that if we relax on this issue, that we are copying what is happening in other, because that's what we are going to look at last, the comparison of what happens here in other jurisdictions. You know, I think other jurisdictions need to. Yes, this thing
excuse
went.
me, ma.
Yes, I'm hearing you. We are hearing you. We lost you. So you can have the floor.
The last submission that you made, I am so yeah. The last submission you made, I'm very, very happy about that, because whatever thing we want to, how we want the society to be, it should begin from us. I have a situation whereby I had to resign from my job as a result of that last thing you have said. I don't understand why a teacher will be teaching a student and the teacher will not have control over that child.
Wow.
Hello?
Yes, we are hearing you.
So you punish a student, say kneel down, the proprietor of the school will come and tell you that I don't take that in my school. A child misbehaves in a class and he doesn't care. All he cares about is his money. Then at a point I told him, I cannot be teaching a student I cannot control. So I had to leave the job. And these are some of these things that are happening. We are copying the things that are happening in the West. We have completely allowed the Western norms to elude our own norms and values. And that is why you see the society is decayed to the level that we are seeing today. Even the issue of corruption, it's as a result of the copy we have copied from the Western.
Okay, I think he has made his points. His point is not different from what every other person has said. And I think the practical example he gave is also very key, because honestly, if we deviate, what we are seeing happening in other places will also happen here, beginning from our homes, organizations, the society at large. So if we say, okay, we just forgo this issue because of whatever reason, we have seen the decay that has happened to other Western countries. Children, you can't beat your child. They will call the police for you and all. And the question I always ask is, at the end, the high rates of suicide that is in these places, what has occasioned it? So if we copy this kind of a thing, coupled with the fact that even the law enforcement in our own nation is not even strong, the whole society will become very chaotic and somebody may hardly live it. Okay, Lucy, your hand is up again.
Ma, I wanted to ask.
Okay.
That this immunity.
Yes.
That is granted political office holders.
Yes.
Is it not one of the negative impacts of our penal system? Because anything they do while they are in office, nothing is supposed, they are free as long as they hold those positions.
Yes. Well, I agree with you. You know that there has been several contentions on this issue. Now, if we now say we should argue for and against, people that feel we should argue for, we say that a lot of this litigations will encumber the political, especially the governors, their deputies, the president is deputy, that because their office is already demanding, and if they are saddled with the traffic of litigations that we entangle them, they will get distracted and they will not be concentrated enough to handle their offices. Now, this has been the argument for that has sustained this position over the years. But looking at it the other way, I will also agree with you on the other hand that if these people were to face the wrath of the law in the areas of their failings, it will make them to be more conscious. But as it stands now, yes, it has. You see the liberty that, you know, the people who are under immunity take. They behave as if their own rights are different from the rights of others, and we are all Nigerians. So until this is the reverse, I know that has been thoroughly abused. You know, the law has a mind. It has a spirit and has a letter, like it's put in the Bible. So the letter, the mind of the law could be that they want to keep these people out of unnecessary pressures of litigation. At the same time, they have abused it by taking on abusing this. So until that time comes when we successfully argue against the issue of the immunity, because in all honesty, to me, I also don't see, if I'm to award marks for it, I'll give 70% marks percent for removal of the immunity, so that they will be careful about what they do. Somebody's hand was up too.
Thank you
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I want to ask, is it not possible for the immunity to be categorized in a way that some aspect of it will be removed, while some aspects can be left, so that even when the person is in power, if he cannot be tried, then if he cannot face a court, then when he leaves office and face the court. If that is done, I believe some of them will be conscious of their actions. They will not just be doing whatever thing that's diplomatic.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that now becomes our own work through our representatives that are in the houses or assemblies, because you know that thing is a law. So for it to be changed, it has to go through legislation. Now you can see the impact of corruption on our system. If somebody even proposes that thing, I'm not very sure, I'll go back and check. But it's as if somebody muted an idea of removal of immunity, even in this current assembly. You can also check, I also want to check, but I overheard something like that. But of course, you know, that wouldn't go very far. It won't go far, because who are the people that are the beneficiaries of this immunity? They are the bosses that have the economic power and control. Yes. So a legislator that wants to push for this, it's like the person is not loyal. And then they are hunting for him, his life, and everywhere. So you could see why it is law. It's not as if it's just an opinion, it's law. And for law to be changed, it has to go through another legislation to be amended or to be repealed or whatever. So if this process can't go through, how are we going to do this? If not, this proposal is good so that this thing will be streamlined. And okay, let's say maybe in only certain cases, maybe chief executive would have been allowed to be prosecuted in cases of corruption, in particular, financial, fraud. So that the idea of cutting away with money here and there, while in office, they will be cautious. But when you allow it until they leave office, they've already done away with most of the money, and they start coming to stand trial. They have been investigated by the current government. They have already left office. Some are not even in a position health-wise or otherwise to do anything. It's like the case is already stale. So I agree with you that even if the immunity was not removed completely, it would have been good that it would be streamlined, so that the person that is in office will know that I have my limits, even while I'm a sitting governor or sitting president. If I do certain things, I will appear in courts. And in other jurisdictions, these officers don't have immunity. So they are careful, and their law enforcement are empowered, so they are cautious. But it will be a very big issue for this kind of a legislation to succeed till maybe our system is a little bit more sanitized than it is now. Okay, I think at this note, it's proper time for us to stop. Our time is even already up. So I think we will see tomorrow when we round up the lecture. So
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
okay, thank you. So okay, before we move, Takpe, even if he's not getting us very well, somebody should connect him privately. You need to be added to the private group for this course, because I've already shared the PowerPoint and the lecture notes on the group so that you can run down, so that when we come tomorrow, if you have questions in other areas and other things, we can also look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Classmate, any announcements?
Hello, yeah, please, I want to ask a question. I will not be following this class, so I don't know if any assignment has been given in regard to this course.
No assignment yet. They just share the lecture notes.
Okay, sir. All right.
But you
Okay,
said
thank
you should go and study the issue of human rights in the Constitution.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let the admin the class, please.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Madam Lucy.
Yes, Takpe. Hello?
I think we can end the class and go to our WhatsApp group so that if there's anything we can address it.
Don't they quarrel about that this thing? WhatsApp groups don't tire person. Kelly, we go call this girl.
Hello, Lucy. Hello.
Yes, please. Hello. Hello, Takpe. He's calling me and I'm not hearing. Takpe's network is not even good.
Hello, Lucy. Hello. Hello.